So we're going to talk about the 5 hindrances now. These are one way of talking about factors that interfere with our concentration. This list is common to both the Theravada tradition and the Mahayana tradition. In addition, the Mahayana tradition has a list of the 5 faults, which we won't be able to go into this time, but I think on the website we have the talks from previous concentration retreats, so they're explained there if you're interested. When developing concentration, we're dealing a lot with mental factors. Yeah, in other words, with different aspects of the mind that perform different functions in the mind. So each of the 5 hindrances is a different mental factor, and they appear together with the mental consciousness, not with the sense consciousnesses. And when we apply their antidotes are the cultivation of other mental factors that also are associated with the mental consciousness, not the sense consciousnesses. Okay? So if you ever have the time to study the mind and mental factors, you'll understand this a little bit better. But you can understand it pretty well now, too. Each of these hindrances, we can usually identify it in its very gross form, and then as we continue and our concentration and our mindfulness increase, we will discover more and more subtle forms of them. So sometimes it seems like, oh, wait a minute, I didn't know I had that much attachment, or how come I have more attachment now than I used to have, or more doubt now than I used to have? It's not that it's working like that. Rather, it's that things that were not so obvious before, because our mind was working in very gross ways, are now becoming more obvious to us. Yeah, so it's not that we didn't have these afflictions before and are only having them now. Okay. These 5 hindrances, the sense desire, ill will, dullness and drowsiness, restless and remorse, and doubt, are interrelated. In other words, sometimes in one meditation session, we'll have one and it will prompt the other. For example, we'll have a lot of sense desire, craving for food, and, a certain kind of food, like those donuts that Mike so kindly donated to us. He's one of the guys who's working on the building. He was the one who donated the donuts this morning. Yeah? And when I went in there, I was looking through the building, he said, "You guys are so nice, and I brought you donuts." I was like, he said, "You're so nice, I want to bring you donuts. And I heard that you only eat the food that people bring you, but maybe they don't bring you enough sweet things." But what do they eat themselves? So he was fulfilling a need that he thought was unmet. Yeah. So, but very kind, isn't it? I mean, totally out of the blue. So, so we may be thinking about donuts and craving donuts. And then we remember, last time I had donuts, somebody else got to the kind I liked before it was my turn. And then before we know it, we're angry. Yeah? And then we go, I wonder if this method for concentration really works after all. And we fall into doubt. And then we go, oh, well, it's just my fault because I was craving stuff. And we fall into regret. And then we just say, well, never mind anyway, and go into dullness. You know? So like these things can follow each other and trigger each other. Which is why we really need to have very astute introspective awareness to catch even the first one before it keeps multiplying. Okay? So let's talk about them. So this sensual desire is the first one. So this is desire for objects of the five senses. Things that we see, hear, smell, taste, and touch. Okay? So we seek possessions, wealth, reputation, approval, and praise, beautiful sights, good music, wonderful scents, a good sex life, delicious food, promotions and status in society, you name it, we will crave it. Okay? Given the right circumstances, we can have sensual desire for almost anything. Maybe even anything. You know, given the right circumstances. Okay? And our society feeds this kind of desire because this is the basis upon which the economy operates. If people don't have sense desire, then what's going to happen to our economy? Right? So we're taught from the time we're little to have sense desire. We grow up believing that external objects are the source of our happiness and consequently the source of our misery. And so then, like I was saying yesterday, we get into this battle with the external world and the people around it, trying to get what we consider pleasant and get away from what we consider unpleasant. Okay, so while sense pleasure itself, there's nothing wrong with it, yeah, and you can't stop sense pleasure. I mean, it comes if there's something pleasant. But the problem is the attachment to the sense pleasure. The desire for the sense pleasure, that's what causes the problems. Okay? If you have a nice donut and it's there and it's gone, no problem. If you have a nice donut and then you want more and you're really restless and disturbed because you really want more and it's unfair that everybody else had seconds and I didn't get any, and then my whole life has been unfair because I was the second child and my oldest sibling always got the best thing, and it goes on and on, okay? So, you know, there's nothing wrong with the sense pleasure, but the attachment to it is what brings us so many problems. So it's very good to do a little review in your life of your relationship with sense objects and see how they operate. Yeah? Just take one average normal day and look at how you function due to desire for sense objects. Okay? And then take another day and just check how it works. Okay? And then we begin to see how much this fuels how we are in the world. And so because we have so much of a habit of desiring sense objects, then of course that kind of desire is going to interrupt our concentration. Yeah. Because we can't immediately, see the pleasure of meditating on the Buddha. And since we're craving for pleasure, meditation on pizza brings it much more quickly. Yeah, given that there's the opportunity to fulfill that craving at the end of the session. Yeah, so you can spend your whole session planning what type of pizza you're going to have, and then go order it afterwards. Okay. If you are on a retreat and you don't have control over what you eat, then the desire often becomes frustration and anger. Yeah, and I just can't take it anymore. You know, why are they depriving me of all these pleasurable things? What's wrong with pleasure anyway? And this is just too ascetic and something's wrong with it, and I'm going down the hill. Yeah, I'm packing my bags and I'm going down the hill, straight to Starbucks. Yeah. Yeah, I'm tired of edible. Yes, she's cooking. I'm going to the steakhouse. Yeah, I want a hamburger with French fries, and she just gives me vegetarian food. Oh. Thank you. Okay, so just check how much your mind contemplates these things. The bed is too hard. The bed is too soft. I wonder how I could change mattresses without making it seem like I'm complaining. Because I don't want to have the reputation around the Abbey of being a complainer, but I do want a new mattress. And while I'm at it, I would also like a new towel, because my towel is stained. Why don't they have nice unstained towels here? Because we use the towels people give us. And so we're attached to our reputation, but we want all these different things, okay? So my mattress, the towel, while I'm at it, might as well have a new pillow. Yeah, that doesn't hurt anything. And then, another little rug to step onto when I get out of bed. Yeah, because I always had a little rug by my bed when I was a little kid. And that reminds me, it's so sweet. So let's get a rug. And then the lamp doesn't work so well. I want another kind of lamp. And maybe we can paint the room while we're at it. Okay. So our sense desire never ends. Okay. Then and that's just desire to outside possessions. Where it gets really dicey is when we look at our attachment to praise, for example. And you're going to say, well, how is praise a sense object? Well, we have praise through sound, don't we? People saying nice, sweet words. You're the most wonderful person I've ever met. You are so attractive. You are so intelligent. You are so good at organizing things. You are so creative. Yeah, go on, go on. Yeah. We love the praise and approval. Yeah. Yeah. And reputation, how is reputation a sense object? Yeah. Well, we hear, I just met some people and they know you, and they say that you're the best engineer in the county. And I met so-and-so, and they say that, you are the best bowler in the league, and, you play miniature golf, just fantastic. So whatever our thing is, we want to be the best in it. Right? We don't want to be second best. We want to be best. And we want other people to know we're best. Even if we're not, they should know we're best. And they should let us know that they know that we're best. Okay. So right? Yeah. Yeah. I want to be known as the best meditator at the Abbey, as the smartest nun at the Abbey, as the kindest person at the Abbey. All this stuff. Then the second one is ill will. Okay? So again, ill will or malice, aversion, it can arise towards almost anything given the right conditions. In fact, when we examine closely, the thing that we have desire for one moment is the object of our malice the next moment. Right? How many of you have had one very intimate relationship, you broke up, and now you have another one? Oh, come on. 3 people. Come on.
The now part is the problem.
The what?
The now part. Now you have another one.
Oh, okay. And then you had another one. Okay. Okay. Yeah. You don't now have one. Yeah. Okay. So that first person, yeah, was the best one you ever met, right? I mean, they were fantastic. You were sure that they were just so super duper meeting all of your needs. And then what happened? That person who was an object of desire became an object of aversion. Yeah, and it was either because they started doing things that bugged you, so you broke up with them, or they broke up with you and then you really didn't like them because they didn't appreciate how wonderful you were. Yeah, so, what we have desire for, what we have malice towards, fluctuates a lot. We're what you call fickle. So this too can come up in our meditation. Yeah, you'll be meditating, there's the Buddha, and all of a sudden you'll think of somebody that you haven't thought of in 10, 20, 30, 40 years, depending how old you are, and you realize that you're still mad at them. I remember doing retreat. This was, it was maybe 26 at the time of this retreat, and 25, and I realized that I was still mad at my 2nd grade teacher. Yeah. So, because she didn't let me be in the class play. The tragedy. I made, instead of the play, I created it, my own tragedy. Okay, so, we get very into judging other people, disapproving of other people, forming numerous opinions of other people. Yeah. Comparing them to ourselves, and they come out less. Comparing them to somebody else, just sometimes nobody's even done anything really wrong, but we just have this free-floating anger energy, and we think of something in our meditation and get mad about it. Okay, so this too is a big distraction. Have you noticed this weekend? Yeah? How many of you have seen distractions from sense desire? How about distractions from anger? Oh, well, yeah. How about some jealousy? Is that in there too? Oh. You're not so willing to admit that one. Okay. Then dullness and drowsiness. So they manifest both physically and mentally. Dullness is a heaviness of mind. So the mind is kind of spaced out. It's dull. It lacks energy. It's bored. We don't want to exert any energy to do anything. We want to be entertained. Yeah, do you ever have that feeling? Yeah, it's like, I'm just tired, I'm bored, I want something to entertain me. Okay, so the mind becomes very dull. And then from there, very easily we go into sense desire. Because sense desire can be very entertaining. Yeah. Or it goes into anger, because anger, if not pleasurable entertainment, at least keeps us occupied with something. It's better than being bored. Okay, so, with dullness, our mind feels like it's in a fog. Sometimes that happens because our mind is just mired in negativity, and it's, kind of just like that. And then, so that's dullness. And then drowsiness is when, you are actually getting drowsy. And you can see this, and you'll find different things. I can tell that there's two ways I can tell when I'm getting drowsy. One is I can feel my posture start to change. The second is my way of thinking changes. I don't know if you have this too, but little ways I conjoin thoughts, I'll start to conjoin things with their own kind of logic that then turns into a dream. Yeah? Or I'll think about things with their own kind of way of thinking about them, and it just goes into a dream. Yeah? But it doesn't seem like, I'm falling asleep. It just seems like I'm thinking about something in a reasonable way, until I realize that actually this is not a reasonable way to think about it, and the thing that I'm thinking about does not exist, or it doesn't, it isn't kind of there in front of me. Okay? So this kind of drowsiness, where you go into, you really start to fall asleep. It isn't because you lack sleep. Our first thing we tell ourselves is, it's because I didn't sleep enough. Therefore, I should get up and go to sleep. Yeah, and I'll sleep some more and wake up refreshed. Then I'll be able to meditate. That's what we tell ourselves. It's not true. Yeah. Usually this kind of drowsiness, once in a while, if you only slept 2 hours the night before, okay. But once in a while, so once in a while it is because we lack sleep. But usually it's a way of just exiting right and going into la-la land distraction. Yeah, and I think, when we fall asleep during teachings, during meditation, this is often a result of karma. It's a karmic obscuration. So perhaps in a previous life, we were disrespectful to the scriptures. We were disrespectful to our spiritual mentor. We criticized the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. We created some kind of negative karma in relationship to the practice. Maybe we taunted somebody else who was practicing, saying, what good is it, sitting there and watching your navel, go get a life, like people say to us now. But maybe we said that kind of thing to somebody before, or we interfered with somebody's meditation or their retreat or whatever, or had a lot of negativity towards the holy objects. Then, as a result of that in this life, when we sit down to meditate or to listen to teachings, we get drowsy. Yeah? And you were perfectly awake before. You drank 3 cups of tea or a cup of coffee or whatever it is. You were awake. Fine. You come and sit down. Okay? Anybody have that happen? Yeah? You weren't tired before. So this is, it's not indicative that you need to sleep more. In fact, sometimes the mind gets dull and drowsy because we've slept too much. Yeah. Often what this means is we need to do more purification. Yeah. And so purification, clearing up our past negativities is very, very helpful for eliminating these kind of obstacles in our practice. Okay, another thing that can be very helpful is to think about something uplifting. Not your boyfriend or girlfriend, but something uplifting like the 3 jewels, precious human life, Buddha nature, something like this. Okay? And like I was saying before, don't wear so many clothes, check your posture. Yeah. So just because you're tired, it doesn't mean you should quit your meditation session and get up and leave. Okay? Especially if you're in a group setting, if somebody walks out in the middle of the session, it's disturbing to other people. So you might just have to sit there and open your eyes and look at the Buddha and try and keep your mind in a virtuous state and watch how this kind of drowsiness functions and comes out of nowhere. Yeah? Okay, then the 4th one is restlessness and remorse. So this one is also 2 components, just like dullness and drowsiness, 2 things that have some similarity. So with restlessness and remorse, our mind very easily goes either to the past or to the future. So with restlessness, our mind is agitated, okay? We worry, we're anxious, we're fearful. We might say it in a polite way like, I'm concerned. But if we look, there's this energy. You know that energy when you're anxious? When you're worried, it has it's a different energy than being concerned. There's this energy. Yeah? And so that's what restlessness is. Yeah, the mind is just like, okay, I've got to do this and I've got to do this and there's just no time, and how am I going to fit all these things in? Okay, or so-and-so's counting on me to do this and I have to do that, but I'm depending on another person and they haven't done their part. Or I don't have a job, what am I going to do? How am I going to support myself? Or I do have a job, but maybe I'm going to lose my job, and what am I going to do if I lose my job? Or I have a job and I'm not going to lose it, but they're asking me to work more hours and I don't really want to. Or I have a job and I'm not going to lose it, and they're not asking me to work more hours and I really want to. Or something. We're anxious about something. Again, pick your poison. We can be anxious about almost anything. We can worry about things. We can be apprehensive. Okay. In other words, our mind is not here, in this room, breathing, silently looking at the Buddha, being, appreciating being with a group of like-minded people. But our mind is off somewhere, dreaming up stories, of everything I have to do, or everything, whatever it is that might happen. What's going to happen to my child? They're in 1st grade and they flunked a spelling test, and what am I going to do? And this kid's supposed to be a Harvard genius and they flunked its spelling test. How are they ever going to get into college? They're in 1st grade. So that's restlessness. Remorse is similar in the sense that with remorse there's a feeling of discomfort because we think that we should have done something that we didn't do, or we shouldn't have done something that we did do. Okay? So remorse is related to restlessness, there's a story involved. But oh boy, I said this to somebody, now what are they going to think of me? I really shouldn't have said that. Or maybe, before I came on the retreat, I should have read this and that book, and I didn't do it. Yeah. Or, they said to begin with doing refuge and the 7-limb prayer and the request to the lineage, but I didn't feel like doing it. So maybe, I'm just not doing it right. I should have done it. Or I did refuge in the 7 limbs and that stuff, but maybe I shouldn't have done it. It was kind of boring. Are you what I'm talking about? Okay. So, in other words, the mind is in the past, it's in the future, it's creating a story. Yeah? And we need to drop our story and remember where we are and come back to where we are and realize that everything we are so worried and anxious about will get resolved when the causes and conditions for it to get resolved are assembled. In the meantime, we can do our meditation. Okay? How many of you grew up with parents that worried a lot, and especially worried about you? Okay. Was that comfortable to you as a kid, having a parent who worried a lot about you?
No.
No. It was miserable. It was miserable. So why do we think that our worry about other people is good? And why do we think it's indicative of how much we care about them? Are you getting what I'm saying? Because we worry about other people, and we think, oh, I worry about them because I love them. Well, that's the same reason our parents had when they worried about us. And it drove us crazy. And we can see it drove our parents crazy too, didn't it? Mm-hmm. Yeah, were our parents happy when they were worried about us? Okay. So why are we spending so much time worrying about other people? Using the reason because I care about them. Hmm? Does our worry do any good at all? No. Does it? Or does your worry do any good? Yeah. No, I mean, the worry just brings anxiety, and then, there's the person you're so worried about, and you've developed this whole catastrophic drama of what's going to happen to them. And you see them, and all of a sudden it comes out, and they're just like, whoa, like, this is too much. Give me a break. Yeah, I just came here to say hello, and you're telling me how, even my future life is going to be a mess. And you don't even believe in them. Okay. Okay, then the fifth one is diluted doubt. Okay, not diluted doubt, diluted doubt. Okay, we don't dilute our doubt, it's diluted. Okay, so there's different kinds of doubt. There's one doubt that is a kind of curiosity, and it's a mind that wants to know more, that wants to understand more. I really don't understand how this works. I have doubts about it, and I want to understand it. And I want to see, is this true, is this not true? Because this is something that's important. So that kind of doubt is more curiosity, and, that doesn't tend to be such a big hindrance. I mean, if we have that, then we just go and study, and we ask questions, and, and we think about whatever it is. Okay? Here we're talking about the kind of doubt that is inclined toward the wrong conclusion. So it's the kind of doubt that it's, we may doubt ourselves, we may doubt the Dharma, we may doubt anything, but we're doubting things in the wrong way, taking us down a slippery path. It's a doubting that's kind of mixed in with a lot of skepticism. Sometimes it can even go so far as to be this kind of, well, I want to see you make me believe that kind of mind, which isn't really doubt, that's just rebelliousness and resistance. Okay? So, this is like, well, I don't know if this meditation method works. I don't know if concentration is really possible. Why should I develop concentration and wisdom anyway? They're too hard. This kind of doubt, and it's kind of feeding this. It often feeds into laziness. Yeah. Well, I just doubt all this stuff. It just doesn't make any sense. So why try? I'm just not going to try. I'm going to go out and have some sense pleasure deluxe. Why should I try to keep doing this stuff? Or it leads us into discouragement. I'm just too incapable. So it's this kind of diluted doubt it's a very tricky state of mind, because when we have this kind of doubt in our mind, we don't see it as doubt. We think it's legitimate questions. We're not in touch with what's underlying those questions, which is laziness, resistance, wrong views, and instead we think that our doubts are quite legitimate. So doubt can be a difficult one to actually discern. It can be hard. Okay. So all these different hindrances are also, they're related to the self-grasping ignorance, because they all arise due to us misapprehending the nature of reality. And they're also all related to the self-centered mind. Because the self-centered mind, just creates this hindrance and that hindrance. And, neither our ignorance nor our self-centeredness are going to just roll over and say, I surrender. They're going to put up a battle. So we have to, know that and be able to identify them. Okay. Okay, so then taming the 5 hindrances. What do we do? Okay, what do we do when they come in the mind? So there's one sutta in the Pali Canon called the Sutta on the Removal of Distracting Thoughts. Sound like it's the one for you? Okay, so first we try, before any of the methods that are actively proposed in this sutra. The first thing we try and do is just bring our mind back to the object of meditation. So if the distraction is not too big, if it hasn't gone on for a while, if it's not something we're really habituated with, then we can, usually easily bring our mind back to the object of meditation. Okay. But when there's a lot of habitual energy with this, it's the particular hindrance, it's more difficult. If our introspective awareness has gone to sleep and we've been off on this hindrance for a period of time, then it's going to be harder to bring it back. Okay? But still, we have to try. So in this sutta, the Buddha taught about 5 methods for dealing with different, with these hindrances. So the first one was to give attention to another object, in particular an object that is virtuous. And what this actually means is we contemplate the opposite of the thought or the emotion that's distracting us. In other words, we apply the antidote to that emotion or hindrance or mental factor that is taking us away from our object of meditation. So in the case of attachment to material possessions, we contemplate impermanence, that these things arise and they cease. They're changing every moment. Yeah, so what use is it to be attached to them? In terms of sexual desire, what we contemplate instead is the inside of the body. So you take the body of the person you're attracted to, you peel off the skin, and you look at what it is inside that you think is so gorgeous. The liver, the spleen, the mesentery, maybe the lymph or the blood, or that kidney. Wow, what a handsome kidney. Yeah. Maybe it's the small intestine or the large intestine. Or you just want to get your hands on those lungs. Yeah. Maybe the esophagus. Yeah. The eyeballs. The tongue. Yeah. The muscles. The tendons. No, it's their bones. Wow. What good-looking bones. Okay, so you look at what it is that you're attached to, what it is you want to hug and kiss and never be separated from. Okay, if if the hindrance that's afflicting you is ill will and anger, then you meditate on love. You meditate on patience. You, create a sense of goodwill. Yeah. So, if to meditate on patience, you read chapter 6 of Shantideva's text, Guide to a Bodhisattva's Way of Life, or you take out His Holiness's book called Healing Anger, or my book called Working with Anger, and those both are based on Shantideva's text, and they're very good for helping us counteract our anger. Okay? Or we do the meditation on love, just, letting some feeling of goodwill arise towards others. Of course, sometimes it's hard to have a sense of love arise towards somebody when we're so angry at them. So we have to, usually it comes back to, cultivating fortitude and patience. If we're angry at inanimate things, like your car, why doesn't it work? Or your computer, what do you get more angry at? Your car or your computer? Yeah? Your computer? Yeah? Other people, some people, their car? Yeah?
Cars work better these days.
Yeah. So, we get mad at inanimate objects. I had to work going through college, so I worked at a research project, and we had to test people's reactions on, when they were stoned. No, seriously, I worked my way through college working on 2 marijuana research projects. I got paid for it. And I did my own research on the side. But we had a machine where we had to, see kind of their level of depth perception and how quickly they can respond to things. And this machine would go on the blink, and we would get quite frustrated with it. And we discovered that if we kicked it, it would often work better. Okay, that isn't one of the antidotes here. Okay, instead, what is proposed is for anger to inanimate objects, is to analyze them into the 4 great elements: earth, water, fire, air. Okay, so there's your computer.
Going into fire.
Yeah. You look at the heaviness of your computer, okay? You look at the cohesiveness of the computer, the heat of your computer, the mobility or lack of mobility of your computer. That mouse is frozen, okay? Whatever it is, yes, you analyze it into the 4 great elements. And of course, within the 4 elements, there's nothing to be angry at. They're inanimate substances. Okay, so then, of course, you get mad at the people who made the computers. So then you have to go and do the meditation on patience and love. Yeah, okay. Then if it's aversion to situations, like we're in certain situations that we just feel uncomfortable about, we're angry that we have to be in this situation, we just don't want to even deal with this thing. Yeah, you ever had that? Yeah, I don't want to be in this situation, get me out. Okay, then it's very helpful to contemplate that these situations are the result of karma. Yeah, and that we're the ones who created the karma. So why are we mad at the situation if we're the ones who created the cause to be in it? Okay. We can also, contemplate that maybe I can learn something from this situation if I change my attitude. So instead of just being angry at it, to think, what can I learn from it, or what can I learn about myself from it? Okay, so you apply an antidote like that if you're having aversion to situations. If you're having intellectual doubt, in other words, you don't understand something and you want to understand it better, the antidote to that is to study the teachings and to contemplate them and meditate on them. If you're having emotional doubt, this kind of doubt, then contemplate the qualities of the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. In other words, because a lot of times our doubt is about the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. Yeah? Or we're feeling this negativity that's a kind of resistance. And if we contemplate the qualities of the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, it gives us some confidence in their teachings and confidence in their ability to guide us. Yeah? Or we can just, sometimes, when you see that you're really having this kind of doubt and resistance just for the sake of having it. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Do you ever have this? A mental state that's going, make me believe, this is all rubbish. Yeah, I don't want to practice, I don't want to believe. It's kind of a sassy, rebellious mind. Then I find it very interesting to just stop and clearly identify that mind and say to myself, this is a sassy, rebellious mind. Okay? What is it all about? What is this mind really trying to say? What is it I'm really needing at this time that I think this kind of attitude is going to get me? Yeah. In other words, what's my problem here? Yeah, what's going on inside of me that this mind is coming up? And that can lead you into some very interesting research and discovery of how your mind works. Okay. So that's the first of the 5 methods that was taught in that sutra, the method of giving attention to the antidote, to the virtuous object or the virtuous perspective that's the opposite of whatever negative mental state you're trapped in that moment.